Welcome back to CEO Money with your host today, Todd Rowan and Linda Butcher, and it is the last day of Crypto Week. So coming up here, we have a guest I've been looking forward to talking with all week long, a gentleman that I have great respect for in the industry, Ryan Taylor, the CEO of Dash Core Group, and we also have Bradley Zastrow on the line with us here.
Hi guys, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you for having us.
Awesome. So we have so many questions. Where
A lot
to
of questions.
start?
A lot of questions.
Well, for our listeners that are crypto, I guess, are in the crypto space, a lot of the times are just looking at, Dash and Dash on the exchange, and they don't necessarily think about the technology behind it. So that's one of the things I wanted to see if you guys could just run through quickly with us is, how Dash works on the blockchain and the payment processing that it does, and then how the Dash network works from a, decentralized autonomous process.
Okay. This is Ryan Taylor speaking, and I'm happy to kind of provide a bit of an overview. Dash is a digital currency, very similar to Bitcoin and other digital currencies. The main difference being we are a payments-focused digital currency. What that means is that we optimize all of our technology decisions and marketing and business strategy around the concept of payments as opposed to other potential use cases for digital currency, such as store of value. And that focus on payments really means that we're trying to bring payments industry best practices into the world of digital currency. And we think that is something that is, I think, woefully inadequate in the current industry, which is really dominated by cryptographers and computer scientists and mathematicians. And that lack of industry experience, I think, comes through in the products and the services that are rolled out. And we're really aiming to change that. In terms of how, which I think is where your question was leading,
right.
We have re-architected basically the way that the network itself operates. We have a second layer to our network called the masternode layer. And basically all this means is that we have special nodes or servers operating on our network that perform specific functions that aren't available on other networks. One of the most popular is our instant send feature. It allows payments to be confirmed in about 1 to 2 seconds, which is, on par with a credit card authorization. And that really allows us to be used as a payment method at the point of sale.
Right.
And that's very important, we think, for the adoption of digital currency.
Right, definitely. So a lot of our listeners are traditional CEOs and traditional corporate structures. When you talk about Dash, there's really different segments to it. There's the Dash Core Group, which you head up, correct? And
correct.
Then there's the Dash Network, which is really the currency piece of it. Can you explain a little bit how that structure works and how it all interacts?
Sure. This will be a foreign concept to a lot of people, but I am CEO of Dash Core Group, Inc., and I'm not CEO of the Dash Network. And the distinction is the Dash Network is independent. It is completely decentralized. We publish the software. People are free to download it. It's open source, and anyone can run that software. And in so doing, they're basically operating the network.
And that's what we call the DAO, the Decentralized Autonomous Organization, correct?
Exactly. And the protocol itself, or the set of rules underpinning the network, allow individuals that are running our network to collaborate and vote on proposals. Anyone is free to put a proposal up to the Dash network. Dash Core Group is no different. We have to put our proposals up to the network in order to receive funding from the network to facilitate our operations. There are a bunch of other entities that are also putting their proposals up to the network, and their proposals are meant to help the network in some way. The network votes on that. And so in some sense, I'm a subcontractor to the network. The company that I operate is a subcontractor, and we are serving the needs of the network. Now, we're serving a very important role. We're basically, we develop the software, we conduct a good portion of the marketing that goes on for Dash, and we do a lot of the business development, which Bradley heads, in order to proactively grow our network.
Bradley, we'll bring you into the conversation now. Bradley's the global head of business development. I know you guys are getting ready to head out to Consensus. So are you presenting there? Do you have any announcements or anything that you can tell us about while you're at that conference?
Well, we do. We have a constant stream of announcements, and I'm sure that we will coordinate at least one or two at Consensus. We do have a booth at Consensus, and people that will be at that conference can stop by and talk to us. I am not giving a formal presentation at the conference, but we definitely will have a large presence there in the form of our booth and a ton of members of our team. So we're hoping to have a couple of announcements ready by then.
All right. Well, we look forward, certainly to seeing you, at the conference, and it's always a pleasure, talking with you, and go ahead, Linda.
So one of the things that we get asked a lot of time from our listeners is, what is the background of the executives that are running these companies? Because a lot of them think, because they're a crypto company, they're new and they aren't necessarily run by people that have industry experience. And I know both of you have extensive payment and financial experience. So can Ryan or Brad, either one, if you want to tell us a little bit about your background and kind of what led you to get involved with Dash, I think the viewers would definitely like hearing about that.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Maybe to jump in real quick on my side, I've actually just joined the Dash core group in December of last year. So one of the newer members of the team. But Dash itself has been around since 2014. So we're a fork of Bitcoin, and so therefore we, as an entity, have also been within the industry for a while, the crypto industry. But myself, I actually come from a little over 17 years of experience with American Express, in a kind of a multinational role, originally in the U.S. and now actually based out of Sydney, Australia, which is where I'm currently based and will continue to be based. My background itself was specifically around partnerships, as well as some of the kind of finance and data analytics functions with American Express as well. So quite broad.
Right.
And my experience, I spent about 7 years with McKinsey in their financial services practice. Moved from there to a hedge fund in New York, where I focused on payments across their private equity fund, as well as a couple of different public markets funds. And so it was there that I spent a number of years just getting very deep into the payment space and evaluating what makes for a successful payment company. And that's really where we're bringing the best practices from the industry and trying to apply those to what's happening within the crypto space. We've got other members too. We just announced back in February, Glenn Austin, who's the CFO, our new CFO. He comes to us from banking career. He was with UBS, right, Citibank, and Morgan Stanley in a variety of strategy and finance roles. So, we're basically a group that is valuing the business aspects of digital currency and trying to really bring those in.
Well, Ryan, we're going to take a quick break here, and then we're going to come back and continue our conversation with Ryan Taylor and Bradley Zastrow with Dash right after this break. You've been listening to CEO Money. Welcome back to CEO Money with your hosts Todd Rowan and Linda Butcher. Today's show is sponsored by Rewards.com and RewardsToken.io. Now, I remember I promised you guys a secret word. Well, this is more of a phrase today, so it's going to be digital cash to go with the theme of our guest here. So I think we still have on the line Ryan. Bradley, you guys still there?
We are indeed.
Awesome. So you guys have a new version of the Dash product coming out here called Evolution. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is and where it's going?
Yes. So Evolution is really our landmark release for this year, it's really simply the next version of the software. It's our belief that using digital currency is much too difficult for most people to grasp and to use. You've got long cryptographic addresses. You've got QR codes that you need to scan. It's not a straightforward process in comparison to a lot of the centralized services that we use like PayPal and Venmo and so on. And the goal of Evolution is simply to make digital currency and Dash specifically as easy to use as those other services. So the user should never see the cryptographic addresses and the plumbing, if you will, of how these networks work. I should be able to send a login from any device. I should be able to send a friend request to Bob, and Bob should be able to accept that. And then we should be able to send and request payments from each other.
Right. I know in the market for like the general user just kind of coming into the market, it's really hard for them to wrap their head around, this public-private key concept and, how to move, funds because, you're talking about real value that you're moving around. And, you don't have that central organization like a bank or another institution to help facilitate those transactions. So it's very important that this gets boiled down and streamlined where the average consumer can understand how to interact with it.
Yeah, you should be able to sit a consumer down in front of a computer or in front of their smartphone and have them download the software and intuitively know how to use it. That user interface and that user experience is really important.
Right, and that's definitely a very important thing for us to become mainstream, with our currency if we're ever going to make progress in our retail, activities. I think so. I think Evolution is an absolute great thing, coming down the pike, and I think most of the projects out there are trying to figure out how we can simplify this for consumers.
Yeah, and it's not an easy task to do in a fully decentralized way where the network itself is independent of any one organization. So, it is a challenge. It's a technical challenge. We've been working on it for a couple of years, so we're excited to roll it out later this year.
So do you have a date yet or just sometime coming soon?
Coming soon. We're not committing to specific dates. We do release on a monthly basis a video of a demo of where we're at in the process, and at this point, it's mostly back-end functionality that we're able to share, and we'll be, adding to that over the course of the coming months. So you can track our progress, but, Q3, Q4 this year is when we're aiming for a release.
Now, is this part of the project, is this open source nonprofit too? Is this part of the Dash network?
That's right.
Okay.
All of the software is open source, and it's really a necessity in digital currency that you don't have closed source software. People need to be able to audit it, make sure that it's safe, make sure that there's no malicious components to it, and so you need to be open source.
Right. So I've got a question for Bradley. You're such a long time in Amex, and I think whenever I first met you, not too long back, you were only getting in the crypto world now for just a few months and understanding that. So how's that evolved for you? And what's the transition been like coming from traditional corporate business into this new world?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a good question, and it's an interesting transition. I had been involved or interested with crypto on kind of maybe more the personal level for probably about a year now. So still a reasonably new adopter compared to some people. But I think as the education obviously is every day, it continues to be always something new, I guess, to learn. I think that's one of the maybe major differences between, call it, the legacy space and, the Dash specifically, which is just the speed in a good way with which we work. I use the analogy of the larger corporations are a little bit more like a cruise ship, and Dash is a little bit more like a speedboat. You can navigate, you can pivot a lot quicker, but the ride might have its ups and downs a little bit more dramatic than, shall we say, if you're on a cruise ship.
So, might feel the bumps in the water a little bit more.
100%, exactly. But that's what makes it exciting, right? There's the level of ownership, the involvement, and really the focus and that we are doing something good for people out there. I mean, payments today are hard. They take too long and they cost too much. And while Ryan was saying, we are still constantly looking at how we improve things like the user experience, et cetera. That is where we see Dash providing that solution.
Right, definitely, and I think we're so young in the industry here, and the technology is evolving so fast. We've heard talking about it like in dog years all week, and it's just it's mind-boggling how quickly it moves. It seems like I've been in this and working on our project now for years, and it's only been 6 months, 8 months. So it's really amazing, and the people in the industry are really amazing people. And what it took me a while to kind of wrap my head around it as a traditional C Corp guy and understand how to operate in the environment and this global network of people.
So our own project has gone from probably a half a dozen full-time people at this time last year to around 60 to 70 today. And if you count our roadmap for hiring, we're approaching 75 folks, and that's an incredible growth rate to deal with. And that for me, that's been the biggest challenge over the last year, is trying to grow an organization that fast and keep it effective.
Right.
Well, and what gets really challenging about that is you're growing an organization extremely fast, and private companies grow very fast as they get their product in the market and they get consumer adoption. But we're growing very fast, developing technology, creating adoption. So it's like you're juggling 20 balls all at one time.
Very true.
That's true of any business, but it's certainly amplified within the cryptocurrency
It seems
space.
to be. Well, guys, we're going to have to run here. I really appreciate having you on, Ryan, Bradley. It's always a pleasure talking to you guys. And to find more information about Dash, you can go to www.dash.org. and find out all information about Dash, and read about the projects and the team and where they're going with their currency. And of course, you can see them at Consensus coming up here in the next few weeks.